All right, good evening again. Welcome to Caffe Lena. Thank you very much for being here this evening. I asked if I could be the one to introduce this concert tonight because I have developed a real relationship with Nikki Jacobs over the last 2.5 years of trying to make this concert happen. So first of all, let me just thank the Nordleys Foundation. They funded this performance tonight. The Nordleys Global Voices series is a way that we have broadened what happens here at Caffe Lena and brought in bands from around the world to play on this stage and bring some wonderful music from all corners of the world to Saratoga, which is exciting. Tonight's performance was originally envisioned as a commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II and the liberation of the camps. And that was in May 2020 when we were first going to do it. And there was a lot of attention being paid in the headlines at that moment to anti-Semitism in the United States. And it was quite a moment to be able to do this performance. Of course, that didn't end up happening. You know what was going on in May 2020. When we booked this, we didn't anticipate a global pandemic that would take more than 1 million American lives. And as we rescheduled more than once, we didn't imagine that we would finally get to do this performance at a moment when there's war in Europe again. And so we listen with our ears and our hearts and our eyes wide open and thank Nikki Jacobs and her ensemble for bringing Mauthausen Cycle to us tonight. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Oh. Not, yeah, there it is. Well, that was such a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. And I feel absolutely the same. And in reference to what you're saying about that we have built a relationship, this was the fastest booked gig I've ever done. Remember how that went down? Like, I emailed and you were like, yes, 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 yes. Like, back and forth, and then it was done. So that was quite lovely. So, and you also just spoke about the fact that we are at war, which is really strange. When we made this program, we wanted to celebrate 75 years of freedom, and now we're in a total different headspace. Before we're going to start, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the content of tonight's show, because I'm going to sing everything in Yiddish. And maybe there are a few people here that speak Yiddish, either a little bit or fluently, but probably most of you don't. And it's quite nice to really understand what this program is about. So it's basically a trilogy. And we start in 86, sorry, I always mix that up. And we start in Eastern Europe. We introduce ourselves. We are Die Mishpocha, which means family in Yiddish. And we're in Eastern Europe, and we're experiencing a fast, upcoming feel of nationalism and fascism. And the world is changing. And in the second song, after I introduce the family, we start with a really sweet lullaby that initially seems really lovely and beautiful. It says, Macht zu die egelig, ot kommen vegelig. So close your eyes, birds are coming. And then suddenly it quickly goes into a story of an razzia that's happening in Eastern Europe. The third song in the first part is even enhancing that feeling of fear that is going around at that time. There's a lot of pogroms happening, people are being exiled, and it's a song about the wind tearing down the shades of the houses. And all over the country, you can feel the shimmer of fear, basically. And it's at this time when 3 million Jews immigrate from Eastern Europe to the US. We all stay behind here in Europe, where we see our families leave, and we enter into the Second World War. That's the second part of the show, and that's where the Mauthausen cycle starts. It's a famous composition written by Mikis Theodorakis and originally written in Greek by Iakofos Kambanelis, who was a Greek poet and survivor of Camp Mauthausen. Mikis Theodorakis read the poetry and he asked Iakofos Kambanelis, is it okay if I put this to music? And there it was, the Mauthausen cycle. There are a few things that are interesting, or I think help to understand the content and the feel of the songs that we're about to perform for you, is that Camp Mauthausen was a concentration camp, but it was not only a concentration camp, it was also a work camp, a labor camp. And it was built up with many different kind of people. So it wasn't originally built to exile Jews or to annihilate Jews. It was a work camp. It was the stairs of 186 stairs, granite stairs, and prisoners were supposed to bring these enormous blocks of rock up the stairs. They would weigh about like 100 pounds or something. And one of the deeply hard things to realize is that any kind of compassion, any kind of heartfeltship to help someone else would be deeply punished. So the mindset of this place was not only to to kill people, but it was really to break them down. And the first song is actually about that. It's about Antonis, who sees a Jew walk up the stairs and he falls down, and he wants to help him carry these heavy boulders. And when he does it, he's being punished by the guard with his life. And we've transcended that into a duet between the viola and the cello. The second song of the cycle is a story about Janos Bear, who was a refugee. He manages to get out of the camp and flees into the country. And everywhere where he comes, people turn him away, and they close their doors. They don't give him food, and eventually the SS picks him up and brings him back, and he will be murdered. And again, it's really strange to realize that something that happened like 75 years ago is actually happening right now. So it brings out these questions at the same time. So, like, what would I do? What would you do? How do you relate to all of that right now in this time? And then the third song actually in the cycle is my favorite. It's where I think Iakouphos Kamenelis is his real strength, and that is where the love comes in. So in this song, which is a duet between me and the cellist, Emiel Visser, he sings about the importance of loving, of being full of love and of loving literally. And his words are like, "Wenn die Milchome is voorbij," so when the war is over, please do not forget me, remember me, and go to all these places where lives were lost and make sure that there's enough love so the shades of the death can be, lifted. And then in the last song of the second part is a witness or a story of Iakouphos Kamenelis himself looking for his loved wife, a Lithuanian Jewish woman in Camp Mauthausen. So he's looking for her, he can't find her, and he's asking all the people, have you seen the love of my life? And she's so beautiful, she has a little comb in her hair, and she wears this beautiful dress, and now no one will ever see how gorgeous she is. We end that part with a reflection on everything that we've seen and heard in the pieces before. And then we actually arrive in the US, where you know this, but for us it's completely different. Being Jewish in Europe means a gap of like 75 years non-Jewish life, basically. But here, there's Jewish life. So we're going to celebrate that. So the boat hits the shore, and we're going to meet a bagel salesman, and and we're going to sing, and we're going to dance, and we're going to drink to life. And all the way in the end, we're going to wind up back to that one specific, most important thing, love. So I hope you will receive our music well, and I wish you a good time. Thank you.